What's going on YouTube? My name is Sweat and welcome back to another Apex Legends video. Today we're going to be going over 6 tips on how to gain RP no matter what rank you are. This will help everybody from bronze all the way until you get to the max rank, which is Apex Predator. If you guys are not already subscribed to the channel, please do so and head down in the description, click the Twitch link and give my Twitch a follow. I would really appreciate it and I love interacting with you guys whenever I go live. Without further ado, let's get into some tips. So we all know with the new rank split being on Kings Canyon, it's going to be a totally different game than when we were playing on World's Edge. If anybody remembers Season 1 rank, the competition was a lot tougher. And while that might be because there were less skilled players at the time, so when you ranked up, you were only playing the best of the best, it is also because the way the map plays differently. Slower and a lot more cover and buildings all around the map. Another thing I want to cover is choosing a legend that fits on Kings Canyon or whatever map you may be playing on when you stumble across this video. Different legends are better in different situations, so let's start going over some good legend combinations to run. Now if you have a full team, you want to have one player select a mobile legend that can get out of situations quickly, while the other two select legends that can hold down buildings and block enemies from entering, especially on Kings Canyon, where there are so many buildings. As for if you're playing solo, it will be a bit different. Try to play to your random teammates' advantages, such as using Bloodhound if your teammate is going to select Bangalore or Caustic and so forth. And in that rare occasion where you are completely solo with not even randoms by your side, then select a character like Pathfinder or Wraith to get you out of tough situations quickly and safely. Now, sticking with your team does more things than you would think. It can provide support when you are low on health, helps ease the pressure when enemies are focusing you, leads to easy kills, and much more. One thing that I always found works really well is if you focus fire an enemy with your teammates. Select one person on the enemy team before you even take a shot, and all decide who you will shoot at. Once you count down or whatever, then the person should be melted and already downed. This should give you a 3-on-2 advantage for the rest of the fight and should easily be manageable barring any third parties rolling up on you, which you guys should always be expecting and plan for. As for the main point of sticking with your team, you need to do this because ranked is a totally different beast than public matches, especially if you are ranking up into the Diamond and Predator lobbies. You can't be 1v3ing whole teams of highly talented players all the time. That would be like LeBron James in a 1v3 basketball game. Now, although he might be the most talented player on the court, he can't take on 3 high-skilled players all at once with no help. As for Apex, straying away from your team in these high-level lobbies will get you killed 9 times out of 10, so stick with your teammates. And one more thing, make sure to hit your shots. It's absolutely crucial. This one is especially important in the final few zones in ranked, but can be carried over to every single gunfight you take in Apex Legends, and that is positioning. Positioning can be the difference between your squad dying early on or finishing the game as the champion squad at the end of the match. Each decision in ranked, especially when you get into the higher ranks, is magnified. So here are a few ways to make sure that you make the right decision. Number 1 is obtaining the height advantage whenever possible. Having height not only allows your squad to see everything below them, but also doesn't allow the enemy teams to see much of you guys. Number 2 is getting to a place with a lot of cover surrounding you if you can't get the height advantage. Having a lot of cover is the next best option because you can have a backup plan in case your bullets aren't connecting or you miss a couple shots. This is why you will see players with a lot of cover taking their shots at enemies when they are running out in the open. Obviously, because they're an easier target this way. Rotating early can be one tip that you definitely want to take advantage of in order to get the upper hand against your competition in ranked. The key is that the moment the circle closes and the next ring location pops up on the map, you should be planning your next move by selecting where you're going to set up and move to. This should tie into the last tip in that you should be selecting a location either that's at a height advantage or a spot with a good amount of cover so that you have the upper hand on your opponents when the time comes. Another thing that most teams don't take advantage of is if you have a Pathfinder on your team, you should be utilizing those beacons placed around the map, because they will tell you the next ring location. This can be crucial in getting yourselves rotated early and help get the positional advantage for the final few fights or rings. Now this next tip is one that I actually struggle with, I'm not going to lie to you guys. While being aggressive 24/7 may work in public matches, it's the exact opposite in high tier rank lobbies. Now I'd say you can get away with being super aggressive during every fight until about platinum, and then after that you need to analyze your pushes before you make them to ensure that you come out on top. Don't get me wrong, if you have an enemy downed or have multiple players on the enemy team low, then you should be pushing. But if this means giving up positional advantages, a spot with a lot of cover, or in a location that can easily get third partied, then I wouldn't risk pushing too aggressively in that situation. Another tip right here that will only really apply to ranked unless you're playing public matches super seriously for wins is choosing fights carefully so you don't put you or your teammates in a bad situation. Now I know a lot of players out there who will take any and every fight they come across in ranked, but there are other ones who can barely get enough points each game and just want to move on to the next rank. I'm talking about those people in this tip. You want to take your fights that will only benefit your team in the long run, but also won't put your team at a disadvantage when you take them. A good example of this is when you are running into the zone and your team doesn't have a lot of heals. Don't be taking a fight in the storm when you could solidify some placement points later on in the game and just pick those kill points up later on. A good time to select a fight is when a team has just got done fighting and you realize that the enemy team has players knocked or are low on health. This should give you the upper hand that you need to win the fight.